Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another episode of The Spread. I'm your host, Jim Sella, in studio with co-host J-Dash and JK47. Going to talk a little Major League Baseball for you. We got the Around the Diamond segment, talk some stories, and pop in some hot and cold teams if we got some time.
Let's do that.
What do you got for us this week, Dash?
Well, I want to start off with Michael Pineda. Everybody knows the Yankees are in first place in their division right now, and looking like a good team at this point. We keep saying their pitching staff is garbage, but there is one guy on this pitching staff that is not garbage, and that is Pineda. He has been killing it this year. In the past 47, he's had trouble staying on the field.
Well, he was a big-time prospect in Seattle. Correct. He was acquired in the trade for Montero. Actually, pretty much a swapping of two prospects at the time. Montero, has been a flop, but that trade looking good now for the Yankees. And Pineda has been actually very good this year. Somebody has to step up with Tanaka gone.
And Sabathia's struggling.
Well, Sabathia's
everyone on that rotation.
Sabathia's just not the pitcher he used to be.
No, he's not. But look at these stats by Pineda. 46.1 innings pitched in 7 starts, 54 strikeouts, 3 walks. He's also sitting at 5-0, has a 2.72 ERA and a 1.01 WHIP. I mean, that 54 strikeouts to 3 walks is unbelievable. In his last start, he went 7 innings versus the Baltimore Orioles. He did let up a home run in 6 hits, but he had 16 strikeouts.
In one game?
Yeah, in one game.
Beast.
It is beast mode. So he is one major reason why the Yankees are winning baseball.
Him and Arod.
The team has let up 137 runs. That's second in the division. I still don't like this pitching staff. Eovaldi I don't like, but Pineda has been on fire this season, and I expect him to be solid moving forward. An ace.
This is what the Yankees wanted whenever they traded for him. So, now that he's healthy, now that he's able to throw the ball well, you could be seeing big things from this guy.
How about the Tampa Bay Rays? They lost Alex Cobb to Tommy John surgery earlier. Now, Drew Smyly has a labrum tear, and he is having season-ending surgery. So,
they really need him?
Do they need Smyly?
Obviously they do. But they've been playing pretty much well without him. Is what I'm trying to point out.
Odorizzi's still a beast, and Chris Archer has been pitching great. But losing Smyly and Cobb,
yeah, that is gonna hurt in the long run. That's definitely gonna hurt them, especially in an offense-heavy division.
They already have Matt Moore on the DL too. Remember, that guy was supposed to be a big-time pitcher. He's never panned out yet either.
Well, he had a great first half of one season, and then he kind of tailed off. His velocity was a little bit down from what I understand, and he's always had the outstanding control issues also.
How about Barry Bonds in this issue of him suing the major leagues? What's up with this?
He feels that the league and the teams colluded against him after his 2007 season. That was the last season he played. They were mad at him, he feels, for the whole steroid thing, and they were mad that he broke the record. And he feels like they pushed him out, and teams purposely didn't sign him just, despite what he did and the black mark that he gave to the league, and that's illegal if they all colluded against him to do that. Teams cannot want to sign him, that's fine. You know what I mean? That's okay. If every team didn't want to sign him, that's okay. What he's saying is all the teams in the league got together and made a decision, hey, nobody's going to sign him. Let's do this just to spite him.
I don't know. I sort of believe Bonds in this. Listen, he hit 276 with a 480 on base percentage and 28 jacks in his last season.
Yeah.
That was age 42 season.
But somebody would have taken a 1-year flyer on him. Any contending team in the American League needs a DH who can hit that line. Come on. How many DHs have that line? 24.
Well, the thing is with Bonds, too, is, he does come with baggage. He was a locker room menace.
Yeah. The Giants hated him in the locker room.
Feuded a lot with a lot of people. He was just a surly individual.
And those are part of the reasons he's brought up in the lawsuit, saying, teams didn't like that about him. So that's another part of the reason why they colluded against him.
And the thing is, too, the way I see it, it was a very, very selfish reason why he did do the steroids. It actually kind of aggravated me, not the fact that he actually did them. This was just part of baseball at that time. People need to get over this.
I agree.
And
I don't think he did anything that somebody else didn't. I don't think there was any reason a team shouldn't have taken a flyer on him.
the fact of the matter is, you don't realize the hypocrisy of all of it. Baseball was down in popularity after the '94 strike.
Right.
Truth be told, it was people like this guy, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, people
All the juicers.
hitting those long balls, and chicks dig the long ball. You remember that?
Please believe.
Remember Greg Maddux, and they were asking him where Mark was.
How about a guy that we talked about in one of our prospect segments in Mets starting pitcher Noah Syndergaard? He actually got called up this past week and
Lost.
made his start. He did lose. He ended up pitching 5 1/3 innings. He struck out 6, walked 4, had 6 hits allowed, and 3 earned runs allowed. He kept his team in the game at least. And you know what? Through 5 innings, he was scoreless. So it was actually into that 6th inning when all this damage got done to him, and he looks like a pretty good pitcher. And all throughout the minor leagues, walks weren't really an issue for him. So those 4 walks, I think that will come down as he gets some more starts. But I'm not even sure if he's going to stay in this rotation right now or not. They got a lot of pitching out there, and they don't necessarily need him. They could send him back down and be fine without him. I'd like to see him stay up here though, because I think he can turn into a top end rotation type pitcher.
I like the prospect of him staying up, because why bring him up right now? You know, if you were actually just going to give him a taste of the major leagues, why not wait till September?
They needed a pitcher, but you're right. They do have other pitchers they could have brought up and started in his place. So I agree with you. I'd keep him on the roster and in the rotation at this point. And plus, they said they want to limit the innings of Matt Harvey, and obviously they're going to want to limit the innings of Noah Syndergaard as well. So one way to do that is run a 6-man rotation.
Even Bartolo Colon has been an Iron Man this year.
Yeah, he's a beast at age 540.
But at age 42 for him, though, I mean, that'll be nice for him having that extra day off to rest.
Yeah, so I actually like a 6-man rotation in the Mets organization right now with what they have. Like you said, Bartolo Colon is old. He could wear it down late in the season. Harvey is just coming off an injury, and he's young. Syndergaard, a prospect. You never want to throw them 200 innings their first season. So you could spread all those innings out by just adding one pitcher. The Angels have agreed to a 2-year extension with closer Houston Street. This was a guy that came into spring training. They weren't even sure if he was going to stick at closer, but he's been a beast this season, and he got an extension. What was it? $18 million for 2 years.
Ridiculous.
You know, I mean, he's been solid. I've never been a big Houston Street guy.
Me neither. But yeah,
I'm not hating. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's definitely been solid. I mean, I've just never really been big on him.
Right.
Isn't he small?
He gets the job done, though.
Roy Oswald was pretty small too, huh? Maybe that's who I'm thinking.
Oswald's small. Lincecum was small.
They're still
Is small.
How about Yasiel Puig?
Dude's beat now.
Another
Get rid of him.
setback
Send him
for
back
him.
to Cuba. Cuba!
Don't do that. He's on my fantasy team. That's the last thing.
He'll be back.
Not until
Yeah,
June.
he will, but he had another setback, man. And this guy, I don't know. He's always injured. This is actually his first DL stint in his career, but he's always out of the lineup for small injuries and everything, and this is just going on too long for him. He was supposed to miss the minimum at first, and it just keeps going on and on.
He's a girl playing a man's sport.
Well, he is kind of kamikaze. He reminds me of that major league outfielder, the Tanaka guy.
Tanaka broke a bat over his head.
I mean, I don't know. I could see him climbing on top of a fence, kind of just standing there and catching the ball, and then just screaming with the
Hoping
ball.
he doesn't get sniped while he's up there. The Dodgers need this guy to come back. They still got who? They got Ethier.
Scott Van Slyke, there's Carl Crawford. I think he's actually injured right now as well. And then Jock Peterson, their center fielder, is having a great season for him. They're sitting in first place in their division, and
But losing Puig's bat will catch up to you over the course of a year. Maybe not his defense.
they
It's
gotta
not like
get
he's the
Puig
best
back in
defensive
line.
guy.
I'll tell you what, Guerrero's been impressive with his limited
he
play
has.
performance. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried getting him into the outfield mix a little bit.
please believe. But
Why not?
They have a plethora of outfielders out there. I like Scott Van Slyke too. He slowed down a little bit, but he can crush the ball.
Yeah, that's Andy's son, so I gotta like him.
Yeah,
Andy Van
better
Slyke.
believe
Yeah,
it.
he's like my favorite all-time bucko.
me too. How about this Cincinnati pitcher, another guy from Cuba, Yasiel Iglesias?
Is it what's his name's brother? Enrique?
Iglesias.
You're dead wrong. You didn't say that about Jose Iglesias. How come?
I don't know. I figured they weren't related.
Jose and Rozelle ain't, but Enrique is related to Rozelle, huh?
Believe it. Because he riseled to the top.
But listen, they called this guy up from AAA who was actually struggling a little bit in AAA, and he allowed 1 run and 2 hits through 8 innings, and he actually had a no-hitter through 6. He dominated, and they really need pitching now that Homer Bailey's done for the season. So it would be nice to see him step up and show what he is truly worth, because when they signed him out of Cuba, he was a very highly rated prospect, I guess you want to say, and he really hasn't turned out to show anything yet until this start this past week. And then we were talking about Pineda having 16 strikeouts in a game. How about Corey Kluber? He had a huge bounce back this week. He struck out 18 batters in a game.
Klubered them.
And he only pitched 8 innings, so out of 24 outs recorded, he struck out 18 guys. Dominated.
It's hardcore, man.
He needed it.
And you know who it was against? The hard-hitting St. Louis Cardinals.
I like Corey Kluber. I hope he turns it around. He was awesome last year. It was and actually, he hasn't been completely bad this year. He got roughed up a couple of starts.
Well, his ERA was up over 5 there.
Yeah, it was.
Before this start. But, he dominated. Only allowed 1 hit 1 batter, had no walks, straight dominated. And it's nice to see him get back and look like his Cy Young self from last season. The Braves have announced Mike Minor is done for the season with surgery to repair the labrum in his shoulder. Another Braves pitcher done for the season. You remember, who was it a couple years ago? One's playing for the Royals. Chris Medlin, they just got rid of him. And then there was another one. Beachy, they got rid of him too. He's in the Dodger system. Medlin's with the Royals. Beachy's with the Dodgers. Another young pitcher goes down with arm surgery for the Braves. Tehran isn't pitching that well right now. Who else they got out there?
Alex Wood, right?
Oh, yeah, Alex Wood. He's starting to turn it around a little bit, but he still hasn't looked like himself this season either.
I don't know. I didn't think the Braves would get much of anything from anybody this year, to be honest with you, except for Freddie Freeman.
You don't like Tehran?
No, I don't.
No?
I did it first, but his velocity was way down. His control's erratic at times. But, whenever the guy's on, though, he's absolutely lights out. I'm not denying the fact that the guy has talent. I just don't like his upside at this point, especially when he's not really all that old yet.
How about Alex Rodriguez? Hit his 9th home run yesterday.
Beast mode. We need a cool sound effect for every time we talk about Arod, because I love him so much. Like fireworks going off after a grand slam.
Weak.
Or gunshots. Love it.
He has 21 RBIs, but his average does sit at 250 right now.
It's all right. He's 50 years old.
He is old. I don't think he's going to show this power all season long. What's he on pace for? More than 40 home runs.
Close. Yeah, man. I'm telling you, I called 30.
Yeah.
Would we bet on it?
It was you and Easy.
If I win, I think I get $1 million.
Good luck. A couple guys I want to talk about real quick is Josh Reddick is having a huge season. I'm not going to get into his numbers or anything, but it's nice to see him finally have a bounce-back season after his big year a few years ago. He was absolutely pathetic last season, but he is leading the Oakland A's offense this year. Delino DeShields. Do you remember Delino DeShields? His son is actually playing now for the Texas Rangers. He came up in Houston's system, but he got traded over to the Rangers this past offseason, and he is playing great right now. He already has 9 stolen bases. He's getting hits every day. His walk rate is outstanding. He does K too much, but he is on a roll with Texas right now, and they're trying to find a way to keep him in the lineup. Leonis Martin's going to return soon, and DeShields has been playing outfield, but he can also play second base, and Odor hasn't been getting it done, so maybe DeShields will move over there, but they got to find a way to keep this guy in the lineup. Jung Ho Gung.
My Pittsburgh Pirate player hitter of the week.
Yeah, he's been killing it as well. It's nice to see him actually produce what people hoped he would. And the Pirates got to find a way to keep this guy in the lineup. Yeah, Harrison and Mercer are both struggling right now. You don't want to completely take them out of the loop, but you got to find a way to put Gung in the lineup. And Turi Hunter for the Minnesota Twins. This dude is on a tear too. Hitting home runs, getting on base, scoring runs, driving in runs. He's doing it all for Minnesota right
Yeah,
now.
I like Turi Hunter too. Good for him. Good
Please
for
believe.
Minnesota.
You gotta love it.
All right, it's enough stories for the week. We don't want to bore the fans with everything. What about some hot and cold teams?
All right, let's start with the American League hot teams. Nobody completely on fire right now.
We just got a handful of teams that have been 6-4 over their last 10 games. So I mean, we're gonna start with the
Tampa Bay's on a 3-game
Yeah.
win streak right now, sitting at 20-16 in second place in their division. Like we said, they lost Smiley and Cobb for the season, so that hurts their rotation moving forward. Archer and Odorizzi still pitching very well, though. What do you think about their chances of staying here, man?
I think they're still going to continue to pitch well, like especially Archer in particular. But the fact of the matter is, losing
Well, that
Cobb and
hurts.
Smiley.
Odorizzi's my man in fantasy.
Yeah.
That hurts. You picked the Archer over him.
Well,
Go ahead.
they've both been outstanding. They have been.
Yes, they have.
But I mean, aside from that, I mean, losing Cobb and Smiley, that's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Lack of offense in offensive Latin Eastern Division.
Right.
Trouble.
Look at this division, man. It almost looks upside down.
I mean, I'm not really at all surprised by the Baltimore Orioles, but I mean, they're a team that actually, to me, was kind of like Cincinnati. They could be on the bubble. They could either be good or they couldn't be.
Yeah.
Bucks lost it.
I don't expect them to be at the bottom of the division by year's end, maybe. But I expect Boston to be up near the top and Toronto. You got New York sitting up there with Tampa in second. It just looks odd to me right now.
Look at New York's road record, 12-8.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
I certainly
It's hard
didn't
to win on the
expect
road.
New York to be sitting at the top of the division. I mean, that's for sure.
They did lose 3 in a row, though.
Plus 28 run differential for them.
Oh, they're definitely school. I mean, Arod and Teixeira, they're hitting the ball out of the ballpark. And Teixeira's average has been slowly climbing.
You know who else is 6-4 with a 3-game win streak? The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, California.
Team with the longest name in the history of sports.
Pujols has had a down year so far, but Mike Trout's been on fire as usual.
Mike Trout's actually my favorite. In my opinion, I think he's the best player in the game. So.
Oh, yeah. Please believe. Did you see Jared Weaver, too? We were hating on this dude. He fell apart. Did you see what he did recently?
What's that?
He threw a complete game, just a couple hits, a ton of strikeouts. He straight dominated.
Good for him.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Plus, they got Garrett Richards back now. So I expect this team to stay atop the division. But do you expect them to win the division, or do you still believe Seattle's going to come out of it?
Well, I mean, it looks like Seattle is coming out of it. I mean, they're slowly starting to play better, starting to pick it up a little bit.
Do you think they'll still win this division, though? I know you said they were going to win this division. I don't think Houston's going to stay at the top of the division, first of all. So I'll eliminate them. But do you think Seattle is going to outdo Los Angeles still?
Too early to tell.
Cano hasn't been hitting very well for Seattle. I mean, the only guy that has
has been Nelson Cruz. That's
Right.
it. I mean, Ackley had a nice start. He tailed off miserably, actually.
And they brought up that Chris Taylor to play some shortstop for him. He hasn't really done too much yet. And Brad Miller really hasn't ran away with the shortstop job either, so we'll have to see how that turns out. But they really need Robinson Cano to pick it up and start hitting like
Definitely.
the player he is.
Well, I mean, it's the player they're paying him to be.
Yeah. How about the National League hot teams? Washington Nationals are 7-3 over the last 10. They did lose their last game, but it finally looks like they're starting to come around a little bit. They still haven't got Anthony Rendon back, so when they get him back, that's going to be a huge bonus as well.
This is a team that's going to dominate as soon as they get Rendon back, especially if he can be even like half of what he was for last year, especially with Bryce Harper killing the ball right now. Zimmerman's going to pick it up. Desmond's going to pick it up.
Zimmerman's actually already started to pick it up, and he's looking like a pretty good hitter right now for him. Is that who you mean, Ryan Zimmerman, or do you mean Jordan Zimmerman?
Well, he had a rough start, too.
Yeah, he has. And so has Steven Strasburg. There's something wrong with this guy.
Well, Strasburg's on the DL, though, isn't he?
Oh, did they move him to the DL? I haven't seen.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I knew he was hurt, though.
He got rocked in his last outing. I almost took him on streak.
Yeah, I'm glad I told you not to.
Dub 7, living the dream.
But yeah, Max Scherzer is pitching like the ace that he is. So I agree with you. I expect this team to be at the top of the division by season's ending. And New York has already started to cool off. Look, they lost their last 4. We'll be talking about them here in a minute, maybe. How about the Chicago Cubs? Winners of their last 5 just beat the Pirates today on Friday, sitting at 20-15, 7-3 over their last 10 games.
Overachieving.
They are actually leading their division in runs scored right now with 156.
Chris Bryant's beast.
Yeah, he is playing well. His average is sitting around where it should land now. It's in the 270s. For his rookie year, that's not too surprising. That's where it should end up. But his on-base percentage is still well over 400 because he is taking a lot of walks. His power is starting to show up, but he'll mature into more, and this guy is going to be a monster and an all-star for several years.
Anybody see Giancarlo Stanton hit the ball out of Dodger Stadium the other day?
Yes, I
I
did.
did see that.
Dude's a monster.
Miami's going to be a scary team whenever they get Fernandez back.
How about the Chicago Cubs, though? Anything you want to say about them? I'm not worried about Miami right now.
The Cubs beat the Pirates. That was pretty funny.
It's brutal. Pirates are playing very well in extra innings this year.
So no Cubs. I mentioned Cubs. We got Marlins and Pirates so far. Anybody else? How about those Brewers? Anything about them?
Love the Brewers.
Nobody wants to talk Cubs. F you, Cubs. Let's move on.
The birds above us want to talk about the Cubs.
No, I mean, all right, fine. We'll talk about the Cubs.
Well, we can move on from the Cubs. You guys don't want to
No,
talk
I
Cubs.
mean, I'm just saying. I mean, I'm not surprised at all by how they're playing. Arrieta's been great.
Yeah,
Lester's starting to put it together. So, I mean, they're going to be a division foe, a legitimate one.
correct. With the Pittsburgh Pirates, you mean? Or
With everybody.
With everybody in that division, yes.
Everybody in baseball, they play. I mean, they got a lot of good young hitters. I love watching them play.
A nice 12-7 record at home, and they're playing 500 ball on the road too.
Joe Madden knows how to manage.
It'd be nice if Kyle Hendricks starts to pick it up too. He pitched pretty well against the Pirates today, but he actually fell apart in the end. But if that guy could really pick it up, you might see them take another step forward. All right, how about some cold teams in the American League?
Everybody we didn't talk about in the hot segment.
Yeah.
Well, the New York, I
No,
guess the Oakland Athletics. You wanna start
the
with them?
A's, man. I mean, it's always hard to see the A's like down at the bottom of the division.
Oh, I hate the A's, so
I don't.
mind.
It's hard. I don't hate on them. I mean, they get it done somehow, but not this year. Though it's just not happening.
Dash loves small ball unless it's not the Pirates.
Well, I mean, they're 2-8 in their last 10 games, and there's 13-23. It's one of the worst records in baseball.
They're terrible right now, but they do have Marcus Semien at shortstop, who's playing bad defensively. But if he can pick up his defensive woes, he's looking like one of the better hitting shortstops in baseball. And this is a guy they traded Jeff Samardzija for after they traded Russell for Samardzija. So they downgraded prospects hugely from Russell to Semien in the end. But Semien's actually looking like the better hitter at this point. Russell still has more potential. But right now, Semien's a top 5 shortstop offensively. And then Brett Lowry, he's been garbage for Toronto. And now that he's over here with Oakland, he really hasn't shown anything. Brett Lowry is on the verge of being a bust.
Kick him to the curb. Dude's done for. Monday's garbage day. Let's get him out there.
Who I like out there, though, is that Billy Burns. He's a center fielder. I told you before, he reminds me sort of like a white Ben Revere. But he takes more walks. He's really fast. This guy, if he would start every day, he could steal more than 50 bases easily. He's a shorter guy, and he can hit for average, too. So I'd like to see them keep him in the lineup as much as possible. Although they did just bring Coco Crisp back, so they're going to have to keep him in the lineup, too. But he's going to need rest, obviously. That guy can't play every day anymore. But with Crisp back, that might actually help him out a little bit and get this offense going a little bit. Who else is cold? Well, the New York Yankees, even though they're sitting at 21-15 in first place, they have lost their last 3 games and are 5-5 in their last 10. So recently, very, very recently, they aren't playing their best ball right now. And maybe we're starting to see the beginning of them start to fall out of first place. But like you said, Arod's showing power. Jacoby Ellsbury's hitting very well. Pineda's pitching very well. Outside of that, I don't like their rotation at all. I'd like to see him call up that prospect we talked about in Luis Severino, though. And they just got Jose Perella back, a decent young second base prospect. They called him up to the bigs after he returned from injury. I'd like to see him start to get a little bit more playing time. And they got another second base prospect in Robert Refsnyder they could bring up as well, who's a pretty good hitter. I got to mention the Cleveland Indians, just for Jim, because that team's garbage so far this season.
Done with them already.
4-6 in their last 10, 6-12 at home, and 6-9 on the road, sitting at 12-21 right now in the season. 9 games back in the division.
Garbage.
They are. They got nothing out of their shortstop so far in Jose Ramirez. He was a pretty good hitter in the minors, and it hasn't translated to the majors. They need to bring up Francisco Lindor sometime soon, but I'm hearing it's not going to be soon at all, and maybe Lindor might wait until September.
Maybe they can trade for Troy Tulowitzki. I hear he wants out of Colorado.
It came out that he doesn't want out and he's not going to ask for a trade, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind to get out of Colorado and go to a winning team. But I don't think it's going to be Cleveland.
Come play in Pittsburgh, we'll take him.
Yeah, please believe. That'd be huge. Got to pay him a lot of money, and he's not producing that well this season. I think he only has like 2 home runs at this point.
Nutting's a billionaire. He can afford it.
It might be a waste of a lot of money, though. I'm not sure. We'll have to let Tulowitzki play out and see how he does moving forward first. How about the National League? Wrap it up here. Who's cold in the National League right now? The Colorado Rockies. Tulowitzki, you got to get the hell out of there, man. 1-9 in their last 10. Yeah, they were actually on an 11-game losing streak before just winning their last game. 4-9 at home, 8-10 on the road, 12-19 overall, 8.5 back. It's still not the largest number to come back from. It's doable, but with this rotation, I don't think it's going to happen. And John Gray's not pitching well in the minors. He's starting to turn it around a little bit, but still not looking dominant.
4-9 at home is pathetic.
The Colorado Rockies are pathetic, man. They're just not a good team. Although they did win, like I said, their last game. It was against the Dodgers as well. Yimi Garcia came in to save the game, and Carlos Gonzalez hit a 3-run jack to win it in the 9th. Who else stinks right now, at least? Philadelphia Phillies. They actually won their last 2, so we'll stay away from them. The Atlanta Braves, they're 4-6 in their last 10, lost their last 2.
Pirates 5-5.
They were actually at the top of this division earlier in the season, so Atlanta has fallen off. No surprise there, though. We expected that all along. Although that Andrelton Simmons, remember I said one of the best fielding shortstop in baseball, but one of the best defensive players in all of baseball. He's actually come around offensively again this season, shown what he did 2 years ago. And he's shown some power, and he's getting on base a lot more. So he's looking like one of the best shortstops in baseball right now. What do you think about these divisions? Los Angeles at the top, no surprise. I expect that. St. Louis at the top, no surprise. You got to expect that. Washington in second, they're making their comeback. You got to expect them to be at the top in the end. The Yankees division, who knows what's going to happen there. Kansas City and Detroit, they'll probably be fighting it out in that division for the rest of the season. And Seattle or Los Angeles, let's see if one of those two actually start to jump out and overtake Houston, first of all, and then run away with the lead.
No, I'm not going to write off Houston just yet, though.
No, I'm not going to write them off, but their offense has fallen apart recently. And like you said, though, when you have ace pitching at the top of the end of the staff, you can always win games. So they might stay in this race. I still don't believe it. Not this year.
They are 4-6 in their last 10, so, I mean, they've fallen off a little bit lately. But like you said, the offense pretty much just dropped off the table. Like, nobody on that team was playing well.
Yeah, even Altuve had a little rough stretch there.
They've won their last 2, though, so, I mean, maybe they're putting it back together again.
Well, that wraps it up. Thank you guys for coming in studio. Thank you, fans, for listening. Fans, you can follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. You can follow me on Twitter at betjimthewin. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to that YouTube channel.